All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, as always, and today we're going to be breaking down PFL championships for 2022. Going to be a good time. Great card. I'm going to be there live, so that's pretty exciting. Hyped to be there. Hyped to break this card down. I've got a few spots already. It's honestly not my favorite card for betting. I don't have a single money line down just yet, but we're going to talk about some spots. Hopefully, you guys can hop in the chat, throw some things at me, and we'll find some good bets to make. So not going to waste too much time. I just by accident closed our Tapology page, so I'm just going to open that back up real quick. Hope everybody's doing good. We've got an off week this week, but that doesn't mean we're not going to break down fights. I'm going to be there live for PFL, so I'm pretty hyped for that. Make sure you guys are tuning into the Twitter at Couch Warrior Pod for updates and coverage. Gonna be really dope. I'm hyped to go there. It's my second time coming as a media member, so should be a good time. Some dope fights, and all right, so got everything back up, and let's hop right into it. Let me just share this with you guys. All right. All right, here we go. So we've got two fights to start off this card that we're not really going to break down. I'm going to go over them real quick, and I'll explain why we're not breaking them down, and then we're going to move on. So for this first fight, we've got Biaggio Ali Walsh versus Tom Graesser. Now, this is cool because Ali is the grandson of the Muhammad Ali. That's why this is very dope. I imagine that's why he's a minus 350 or so favorite. He's literally 1-1-0. So it's not like he's some kind of like unbeatable stud, but like the name's going to carry you a long way, man. The name's going to carry you a long way. I don't know about maybe his amateur boxing experience, if he has any, that I am not aware of. I just know that he lost his first fight via rear naked choke in 2022. I know he knocked out his next opponent. This guy, Tom Graesser, there's absolutely no tape on him, and that's why I don't have a breakdown for you guys, unfortunately. But what you could know is that this is a setup match without any doubt. Who are they trying to set up? Tom Graesser or the grandson of Muhammad Ali? They're trying to set up the grandson of Muhammad Ali. So we can't break this down. Not enough tape, but you got to imagine that's a squash match. I don't suggest betting that because we have no information. But yeah, just not the move, honestly. So we're gonna move on. Another fight where there's not enough info, but a clear setup fight once again. We've got Dakota Ditcheva versus Katherine Corogenes. Now, Ditcheva is 6-0, undefeated as a pro. She's 24 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach, and she's training out of Manchester top team as far as I could tell. Corogenes on the other side is 2-0, undefeated as a pro, which is interesting. She's 33 years old. She is, 7 years older. 5'7". She's 1 inch shorter. She's got a 65-inch reach. She's got a 5-inch reach disadvantage. And look, again, there's no tape on Corogenes, so we're not going to sit here and waste our time, right? But Dakota Ditcheva, 6-0, clearly the PFL favorite. Got a really nice KO in her last fight very quickly. She's had good fights, fought decent competition. She's clearly the better woman here, but I can't say that. I can't really say that because I don't have tape on Corogenes. Corogenes could be some kind of monster. I don't think so, but we don't have tape. We can't break this down. We're going to move on. Now, I got plenty of tape on these two. So for this fight, we've got Magomedkerimov versus Gleison Tibau. Now, Magomedkerimov is 36-0. He's 32 years old, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach. And for him, I've got him training at an American top team. Now, on the other side, Gleison Tibau. Now, this is interesting because he used to train at ATT, but he's not there no more as far as I could tell. 36, 16-0, 39 years old, 5'8" with the 68-inch reach. So he's 3 inches shorter here. He's 5 inches shorter here. He's got a 5-inch reach disadvantage, and he's quite a bit older. He's 7 years older, 39. He's one of these Brazilian wonders, though, because he keeps winning fights. And I'm going to be real here. I'm a little bit biased, but come on. He beat Jara Al-Salali. He beat him. I had him as the dog there, and I was very, very upset with that decision because I felt that Gleison clearly won that fight. Now, for this fight, Look, I've got Magomed parlayed. So does like half the world. I have him parlayed with OAM Jack Della at -116 for 1.13 units. Now, look, I think he's good. I think he's a beast. His grappling is really good, obviously. His striking is very solid. He's a bit more like Zabit than he is like Habib, right? He's got that wrestling, but he prefers to kick. He loves those kicks. He loves those fancy kicks. I don't love the output on Magomedkerimov, but like it's not like Gleison has much better output, right? And he's much older. He's been knocked out 4 times, whereas Magomed 11 KO wins. He's been knocked out once himself. 15 sub wins for Gleison. Now, this is where I'm like thinking, right? Who's going to be the better wrestler? I'm actually not sure. I'm not positive. I think right now, where we are, it's probably Magomed, right? But at the same time, we're talking about a guy who out wrestled Habib. Like, let's be real here. He did. A guy with incredible takedown defense in the UFC. A guy who has shown that he can wrestle. He's got that offensive grappling. That's what he used to beat Jar al-Salawi when he got robbed. But yeah, I mean, look, Magomed does everything better. He's younger, but I'd be careful just because I think it's going to be tight, because I don't think Magomed does anything particular to win moments, right? He's winning minutes, but there's no like feeling of like, all right, this guy's got the lock in. He's just hurting him. Like there's nothing like that, right? You're just waiting for him to win the minutes. And sometimes he's getting KOs against guys like Dilano Taylor, a little bit less experienced. Do I think he's knocking out Gleison? No, not really. I think more than likely we're looking at a decision. Now, in terms of lines and props, right? So Gleison is plus 350. I mean, I've got Magomed here. I parlayed him. I don't think Gleison as a dog is really the way to do it. Now, the over 2.5, that's a little bit interesting, the -185, because I'm not convinced either of these guys could finish the other. I mean, I really don't think Gleison can finish Magomed, and I'm not convinced Magomed can finish Gleison. So I might look at that over. We'll see. I'm probably just not going to play it much more than that parlay I have with Magomed, and we'll move on to the next fight. All right, so for this one, we've got Natan Schulte versus Jeremy Stephens, and this is one I'm hyped to talk about. Now, Schulte is 22, 5-1. He's 30 years old, 5'10" with a 69-inch reach, training out of American Top Team. On the other side, you've got Jeremy Stephens, 29, 20-0. That's a pretty nasty record, I'm not going to lie. But against good guys, right? 36 years old. He's quite old here, 6 years older than Natan. Now, I mean, that doesn't seem like all that much, but in terms of fight years, which is something we're going to talk about with another matchup later on, I mean, like, he's much older. So he's 1 inch shorter, 71-inch reach, 2-inch reach advantage for Stephens. I've got him at Steel MMA, according to his Instagram. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to play Stephens as a dog, man. Look, Natan Schulte should be better everywhere. In terms of grappling, he's clearly the better guy. But Stephens showed a 65% takedown defense in the UFC. Good sprawl. He does good work. He did get taken down by Price in round 3 and held down. So that's not a great look, right? That guy is not very good, Price. Schulte on the other side, he's beating really good people. He's losing only to really good people. And, he's got good wrestling, but he's not using that wrestling. Very little, at least, especially in his last fight, right? He wasn't really using that wrestling at all. Now, if we're talking about strike for strike on the feet, can you guys really tell me that Natan Schulte on the feet for, what is this? This isn't a championship bout. It's not. So it's 3 rounds. You're telling me for 15 minutes on the feet, Natan Schulte is a -400 favorite? I strongly disagree. Now, if you look at just the Stephens Price fight, right? You're like, this guy's trash. This guy's not good. He barely beat a guy who's not very good. It was a split decision. But matchups. Styles make fights, right? Let's go back to the Clay Collard fight against a striker who was allowing him to land, allowing him to get off. What happened? Jeremy Stephens did very well. He lost that fight, sure, but it was close, it was intense, and he was landing a ton. The guy's a good striker, and he's got very, very good power. Schulte here, he's a bit undersized compared to Stephens. Look, you're going to laugh when I say that because the size, right? I mean, 5'9", he's 1 inch shorter as Stephens, but I just feel like those numbers might be off. That's how I feel personally. can't really put that into your breakdown, right? Because it's just a guess, but it's how I feel. I think he's going to be a bit stronger here, a bit bigger. Should Schulte win? Yes. Is this his fight to lose? Yes. Am I willing to bet Stevens as a plus 300 or so dog? Hell yeah. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait. I'm going to let people parlay up Natan Schulte. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And then I'm going to play Jeremy Stevens. Not for a lot, probably a half unit to win 1.5, something like that. But at the end of the day, look, he's more experienced in terms of the better competition, right? And Natan Schulte doesn't move his goddamn head. Even in his last fight, when the commentary was saying, wow, he's moving his head, he wasn't really moving his head. And against Stevens, I think that's going to get him hit a little bit. So I think Natan Schulte should win this fight, but I'm going to bet Stevens because I think these odds are off. I think Schulte might give him the fight he needs to actually win, and I think he could pull it off. So going to look at the dog there, but now we're going to move on. And this is so much fun. We've got the Battle of the Moraeses. It's the second fight of theirs, which is dope. We've got Sheymon Moraes versus Marlon Moraes. Sheymon is 14-6-0. He's 32 years old. 5'8" with the 72-inch reach. And I've got him training out of somewhere in Arizona. I don't have an exact camp, but I know that's where he's at. Marlon Moraes on the other side is 23-10-1. He's lost his last 4 fights. That's why the odds are like they are. He's 34 years old, 2 years older, 5'6". He's 2 inches shorter, 66.5-inch reach. He's got a, 5.5-inch reach disadvantage. And look, you watch the first fight and you kind of understand that Marlon Moraes at the time was a better fighter, right? But you also have to consider, the fight was in 2015, which is 7 years ago. At the time, Sheymon Moraes was 24 years old, and I think it was 7-0. So he was still green. And, how did he really get caught? It was when he allowed Marlon to get what he wanted in the pocket. Once they started swinging hooks, that's when Sheymon got caught. That's when Marlon found success. That's when he knocked Sheymon down. It wasn't like he was just out wrestling him. It was that pocket. And it was the way that Sheymon just allowed himself, because he would overswing, he would allow himself to get hit. And that's probably why the odds are the way they are, right? Because people realize that at the end of the day, yes, Sheymon is only, 3 years younger, 2 years younger. But I was talking about this earlier. In fight years, realistically, he's a lot younger than Moraes. He hasn't been knocked out, 4 times in a row. It's just the reality. Now, Marlon, in all of his fights, honestly, most of them, maybe not Sanhagen, and definitely not Song Yadong, but he's shown good moments, especially I'm thinking of the Dvalishvili fight, right? Where he almost knocked Merab out. And also, I want to talk about this. Like, look, we did think it was a robbery. Most of us thought it was a robbery when he beat Jose Aldo, right? But that wasn't that long ago. I believe that was early 2020 or late 2019. And yes, Aldo got the title shot because even Dana thought he won. But, for Marlon to be close like that, that showed, he's not exactly completely washed. And, look at who's knocking him out. Not a single guy who's knocked him out isn't good, Literally not a single one of them. I'm trying to pull up all of them because I think I can name it, but I'm not positive. So I'm going to pull it up real quick. I know it's Song Yadong. I know that Corey Sanhagen is there. I know that Merab is there. I don't remember the fourth fella. Rob Font. There we go. So, all those guys honestly would probably beat Sheymon Moraes as well. And one more thing I wanted to talk about is the weight class, right? So Marlon is coming up to 145. He's been at 135 in the UFC. Sheymon originally fought Marlon in their first fight, 2015. That was in bantamweight. But since then, for the most part, he's been in featherweight, especially recently. And especially in the PFL. He's already bigger. He's in the weight class. He's grown into it. He's not the one getting knocked out 4 times in a row brutally. You have to think he's got the edge here, right? I'm not playing him just because, you look at the first fight, and I understand, again, I said it myself, it's 7 years ago, but Marlon showed he's a better guy there. And, even in the UFC, Marlon, I think, showed that he's the better guy. At this point, it's probably Sheymon. But if we're talking about grappling, right? Who's going to be the better wrestler? It's probably still going to be Marlon. Your chin's not going to affect your wrestling, right? Who's the better striker? I honestly can't say that it's Sheymon. I think we're still where we were in 2015. Both these guys are going to throw hooks at each other. Talking about it now, I'm thinking, what's the under? Because I know they released the unders today, and talking about it, it sounds like I like violence, right? So the under 2.5 is plus 165, and that's exactly what I'm going to play. I'm going to write it down right now, and I'm going to play that for a half unit because, A, you have to recognize that Marlon Moraes has a cracked chin, and B, you have to recognize that Marlon Moraes finished Sheymon. He did, and it was exactly in the same way he could do it again because Sheymon's striking defense, in my opinion, has not shored up all that much. So, do I want to pick a side? No, I do not. I'd be tempted on Marlon Moraes as the dog because I thought he'd open the favorite, but because of that chin, I just can't do it. I think I'm going to tackle that on that. The over 2.5 is plus 165. See, you take 4 shots and you start mixing things up. The under 2.5 is minus 205. Okay, that's not playable. But yeah, guys, don't touch this fight. There's too many unknowns. We haven't gotten enough information. It's probably Sheymon, but I really don't think it's smart to bet this fight. So we're going to move on. All right. For this one, we've got Omari Akhmedov versus Rob Wilkinson. Now, Akhmedov is 24-7-1. He's 35 years old, 6 feet tall, with a 71-inch reach. He's training out of American Top Team. On the other side, you got Rob Wilkinson, 16-2-0. He's 30 years old. He's 5 years younger here. He's 6'3". He's 3 inches taller, 80-inch reach. He's got a 9-inch reach advantage. And for him, I've got him training out of Hybrid Training Center. Look, do I think Wilkinson's the rightful favorite? I guess. But if you look at their records in the UFC, right? If a fight was made in the UFC between the two before they left for the PFL, who'd be favored? I imagine it would be Akhmedov. And why does it need to be that much different? Because he lost to Jordan Young, rest in peace. He tired out. We saw that. He tired out. And he showed a better ability to conserve that gas tank in his last fight against Josh Silveira. I bet him there. I bet him as a big dog. Big dog, I think it was the plus 200s. Might have been slightly below that, like plus 175, something like that. I played it for 3-4 units. I was there live covering the event. It was super dope. Love PFL. I'm extremely excited to be there live again this week. But yeah, I saw that fight and I was happy with my bet because it played out like I thought so. I thought that, he's just more experienced than Josh Silveira, and I thought that would pay dividends, and it did. It did. But at the same time, there's so many things not to like with Akhmedov, right? Swings, way too much, way too many hooks, loves that overhand right. Is Wilkinson that good of a striker himself? No, I don't think so. But he's a decent striker. He uses nice knees. He's good in the clinch. He's going to be the bigger guy, the longer guy. He should be better at range here. He really should. Both guys have 8 knockout wins, 3 knockout losses for Akhmedov, 2 knockout losses for Wilkinson. I've been really tempted on Akhmedov just because I think maybe people are discounting him a little bit, right? People are very hype on Wilkinson. He's been picking up these knockouts, but over who, right? Over who? So he knocked out Pesta. So did Akhmedov. He knocked out, what was his name? I want to say Bruno Souza, something along those lines. Bruno knocked him out. I think it was round 2. And then in his last fight, he fought, I know his name. I got it written down in my notes. Dilano Monte, right? Dilano hurt him. I didn't remember that one bit. I was there live. But Dilano hurt him. He was landing pretty well, and he was quite a bit smaller, right? He was landing strikes that Omari Akhmedov would land. So in terms of the grappling, both guys are grapplers. Wilkinson has shown that he's a good wrestler. 7 submission wins, never been subbed himself. Akhmedov, 7 sub wins as well, but he's been subbed twice. I do think the grappling edge is going to go to Akhmedov. I think the striking is going to go to Rob. Who do I think wins the fight? I honestly don't have a read. I don't have a good read here. I lean Akhmedov. Because I don't have a good read, I'm not going to play it. I just think people are overplaying Wilkinson a little bit. We weren't that hype about him coming in. He was the dog to a freaking PFL Challenger Series guy. And all of a sudden, we're putting him over a UFC veteran. I mean, he's a UFC veteran too, right? But a more experienced UFC veteran in Omari Akhmedov, who's had a lot more UFC fights. I think it was only 2 for Rob. So I think that Omari can mix in that grappling. I think if he gets in close, he could definitely land and hurt Rob, because Delon Monte showed that. And I think Omari is way better than Delon. But if Wilkinson can use his own wrestling defensively, keep it on the feet, Omari in the UFC was not very hittable. I think it was like a 64% striking defense, something good like that. But in the PFL, I think he's been a bit more hittable. Rob, with that length, with that height, I think he's going to be able to land on him. I get why people like Rob. I don't think the line is a good move here on Rob. I'm going to wait. If I get Omari plus 200 or so, I'm going to play him. Otherwise, I'm not going to touch it, I don't think. We'll see once the props come out. We don't even have a total on that fight just yet. But, you know, this line actually wasn't like this when I was looking today. So it was minus 200 on Rob. And now it's minus 230, plus 195 on Omari. I just said plus 200 and I'm playing him. So 5 more points and 5 more cents and we're going in on Omari. It's going to be a half unit to win one. And it comes down to, I think we're so short-minded, us MMA gamblers. I say this all the time. We're so short. We have such a short memory. And we only remember the last fights and the last moments. And realistically, Rob is just not, he's not a minus 240, minus 230 guy against someone like Omari. I just really, really don't think so. So I'm going to play Omari at this rate. I wasn't going to before the show because he was sitting at like plus 170 and that didn't interest me. But right now, I'm expecting plus 200 or higher. So I'm going to sit, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to play it for a half unit and call it a day. That's what we're going to do here. And we're going to move on to the next fight. And this is the one that, you know, was giving me fits, honestly. Here we've got Dilano Taylor versus Saidbou. Taylor is 10-2-0, 25 years old. He's 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. And he's training out of my favorite camp, Sanford MMA, a.k.a. Kill Cliff FC. On the other side, Saidbou is 12-6-2. He's 35 years old, 6'3" as well. So he is 10 years older. They're the same height. He's got an 80-inch reach. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. And he's training out of Extreme Couture. We know that Sean Strickland loves sparring with him. He said he's a beast. Look, this is like such a weird fight. Dilano Taylor is like a dark horse here. No one. I bet you if PFL gave odds in the beginning of the season for who's going to be champion, Dilano would have been like plus 5,000 or more. Like, it's so crazy that he's here. It's so crazy the way he got here. But it's also impressive, right? He beat João Zerafino, who I think is very decent. He's a very good fighter, in my opinion. He lost to Magomedkerimov. That's okay. A lot of people do. And then he beat Rory McDonald. He knocked him out. And even before then, he looked pretty good, right? I'm pretty sure he took him down in the first round. So it's really weird. But Saidbou on the other side, right? He's had such a good run lately. But at the same time, like, you look at it and it's like, what does he really do? And in the Carlos Leal fight, I noticed that Saidbou just throws a jab and kicks. That's it. That's what I remembered in previous fights. I thought maybe in the Carlos Leal fight it would be different because he won that, and I know Carlos is very good. I didn't remember the fight very well, so I had to rewatch it. But guys, he busted up Carlos with just the jab. Can you imagine if he just put combinations together, like throw a 2 behind the 1? Like, man, he has so much potential, but his output isn't there. His kicks are good. He's throwing a lot of kicks. But if he would just throw in strikes, I mean, I think it's Saidbou all day, but his output isn't good enough for me. Now, his takedown defense is really good. It has to be because everybody sees him. Everyone sees his frame in the weight class, and they say, I got to take this guy down. He's a good striker. He's piecing me up with the jab. He's landing kicks at range. He's hurting my legs. I can't walk. What do? I got to wrestle him. And what does he do? He keeps it up on the feet almost every single time. He's shown really, really good takedown defense. His distance management is on point. My one issue with Saidbou is he does back up a lot. If his opponents apply pressure, he allows that pressure to come onto him. And it's not great because as a guy who's fighting at range, you need space. You need space to work. You have to be able to circle out. They love that lateral movement, right? Most guys don't give it to him because they're smart. And I don't think Dilano is going to give him that space either. Dilano has shown an ability to push forward, put together good forward pressure. Is Dilano striking as good as Saidbou? I really don't think so, no. But is it enough? I think it might be. I think he's a good striker. He's been rapidly improving. He's very, very young. 25 years old for the weight class is young, guys. He's got a good jab. He's got a good 1-2. I mean, he knocked out McDonald, hurt him on the feet. He seems to have good power. 3 knockout wins. He has been knocked out twice himself. 2 submission wins. Never been subbed. Whereas you look at C, he's been subbed 1 time, but it was a while ago. This one's tough. It should probably be Saidbou by decision. If you're going to play that side, I don't see why you wouldn't play it by decision. Is he really going to bust up Dilano Taylor with a jab enough to knock him out? I don't think so. Are his kicks going to knock Dilano Taylor out? I would bet no. So I don't know how I'm going to tackle this fight, if I will at all. Right now, I'm going to let the odds do their thing. -180 Saidbou, plus 155 Dilano Taylor. Neither of those lines intrigue me at all. I normally like to bet on the guy who's got the wrestling edge, but we're also talking about a guy in C who has really, really trained that takedown defense. And then on the feet again, Dilano's got the output. Saidbou's got the technique. Dilano throws more punches. Saidbou throws more kicks. Saidbou's good at keeping distance. Dilano's better at pressure. It's a tough, tough fight. I'm leaning C. I'm going to have to wait and see what the odds are if I'm going to play anything. I'm curious what they give us the over for. I have to imagine it's going to be the over 4.5 like the other guys with the champion bouts. I won't play that. That's too deep for me. If it's over 2.5 for some reason, hell yeah, I'm going to be on that. But otherwise, probably not. Real quick, want to shout out to Zeke in the chat. My guy. Thank you for tuning in, brother. He's the absolute GOAT. But, all right, we're going to move on to the next fight. So, for this next one, we got another guy I got parlayed. And I don't think we need to spend all too much time on this one. We've got Stevie Ray versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Stevie Ray's 25-10-0, 32 years old, 5'10" with the 70-inch reach, and he's training out of higher level MMA. OAM on the other side, he's 16-5-0, 33 years old. He's 1 year older, 5'9". He's 1 inch shorter, and he's got a 71-inch reach. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage, training out of H2O MMA. Look, for me, this comes down to one thing. What is Stevie Ray better than OAM at? I would be waiting forever. If I was actually waiting for an answer, I'd be waiting forever because A, we've only got 7 people in the chat, and B, there's nothing that he's better at. I just don't see how Stevie Ray wins this fight. If I'm going to bet a dog, if you've watched my show before, you know what I say. I say they need to have a path. I need to see a path. I love underdogs. They're my most profitable part of betting. If you look at my Bet MMA page, it's 19% ROI on big dogs, and it's way less on everything else. That's my thing. I love big underdogs, but I need a path. I don't think this is it. I think that OAM is going to beat him. I think he's going to beat him handily. And something I'm actually interested in is going to be OAM inside the distance because I have a hard time seeing Stevie Ray last all 5 rounds. This is a 5-round championship bout. Stevie Ray's been knocked out 2 times. Mercier never. Mercier's got 8 submission wins. Ray's got 4 sub losses. It's hard to imagine Ray getting subbed because we just saw him submit Pettis, right? And then we saw him have success on the ground against Pettis. I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't see it for Stevie Ray. I don't really see how he can beat OAM here unless he gets a lucky finish, and I'm not seeing it. So I do like OAM. Am I going to hammer his money line? No. Did I parlay him? Yes. I parlayed him earlier on. He was -425. It was with Magomedkerimov and Jack Della Maddalena. Jack obviously already hit, so it's just the 2, Magomed and OAM. Comes out to -116. Now, it's 1.13 on BetMMA. I think I put more, but I don't remember exactly. So we're going to go with that number. But, yeah, I think OAM all day. I'm probably going to play OAM inside the distance. But other than that, I don't think there's really much to do here. It's OAM all day. If anyone in the chat knows what Stevie Ray is better at, let me know. Let me know. Prince of Mischief in the chat, I appreciate you, man. Letting me know they're here. They're here. And my guys, I appreciate all you guys big time. You had no idea. It's the reason I do it. But All right. Next up, we've got a fight I have zero interest in. 0-0-0. Julia Budd, 16-4-0 against Aspen Ladd, 9-3-0. Bud is 39 years old. She's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. She's training out of Gibson MMA. She's training with Lance Gibson and his father. Lance is dope. He's very good, but he's a young prospect, right? I mean, Julia Budd is 39 years old. I believe she's his stepmother. And, just because she's training with him doesn't mean she's some kind of like beast, right? Now, what is Bud? She's very experienced. She's been around the game for a minute. She's fought in Bellator. She's had some good fights. Ariane Blencow, she beat her by split. Decent, right? Decent wins. But then you look at her last fight, and it's like, what the hell happened? She fought 4-2 Gina Fabian, and it just wasn't a good look. Now, first, you have to acknowledge this. Gina Fabian is 6 feet tall. Ladd is 5'6". There's a 6-inch height difference there. What I'm suggesting is that Gina Fabian was a better striker and had more size to work with, right? Whereas Aspen Ladd is not a good striker at all. She's just not, right? And then in the grappling, I think she's got a decent chance, but Gina was 6 feet tall, and that's why she had some success. She could tripod. Even her, she got taken down. But Aspen Ladd, nah. I still think Aspen wins, right? 62% takedown defense. It's against solid competition. Women like Yana Kunitskaya, women like Raquel Pennington, even though Raquel only shot once. She's 12 years younger. She's got a crazy age advantage here. Both women, I have their striking listed as meat and potatoes. It's just what it is. In terms of output, I lean Bud slightly because Ladd doesn't have the best output. But something I did notice for Ladd is the clinch. I think the clinch is live here for Ladd. Julia Budd has shown a difficulty in the clinch against low-level competition, such as Gina Fabian and her opponent before that. Don't remember her name, but she was like 12-10-0 at the time, and now she's 12-11-0. This one's tough for me, guys. I don't think anyone should put their money on this fight. You got Aspen Ladd leaving the UFC after a lot of weight difficulties. You have no idea what you're getting out of her, and she's a minus 220 favorite. And then at the same time, do I want to play Julia Budd at plus 185? No, I do not want to do that. So for me, this is a pass. I lean Aspen Ladd, but it's like, how does she... let's game it out, right? Let's game it out. How does she win? Julia Budd, Aspen Ladd start the fight. Who's winning the first striking exchanges? It's probably Budd because she's throwing straight. Aspen Ladd starts slow and starts with hooks. So it's probably going to be Budd landing. Who's going to shoot first? I think Budd. Who's going to initiate the clinch first? Probably Ladd. And that's where it gets so complicated. I don't think anyone should bet this fight. We need to see what Aspen Ladd is going to look like outside of the UFC. We have to see what Aspen Ladd is going to look like at this weight class. She's coming up to 155. She just fought at 136. It's a big difference. It's almost a 20-pound difference here. So I don't think it's a smart move to bet this fight. Gun to my head, who am I betting? It would be Aspen Ladd, but I don't want to do it. I think that Budd has her ways to win this. I think PFL wants Aspen Ladd to win, but the PFL wanted so many guys to win, and it didn't work out. They wanted Jeremy Stevens to win, and it didn't work out. They wanted Anthony Pettis to win, and look how that played out. It's not always the way they want it. So I lean Aspen Ladd. I really don't think anyone should put their money on it. I really don't. Prince of Mischief saying, is she going to make weight? I know it's up 2 weight classes. So, if she doesn't make weight, she needs to retire because it's just not healthy. If she can't make 155, something is wrong because most of these women at 155 in the PFL are quite a bit larger than her. Julia Budd, Gina Fabian, they're all bigger than Ladd. So it would be pretty crazy if she missed weight at 155. But we'll move up to this next fight. Now, when I first started taping this, I didn't realize it was a rematch. And then I did, and it helped a lot. So we've got Ante Delija versus Matheus Scheffel, 2. Ante Delija is 22-5-0. He's 32 years old, 6'5" with the 79-inch reach. And he's training out of UFD gym over in Germany, I believe, with Crow Cop as well over there. Scheffel on the other side is 17-8-0, 30 years old. He's 2 years younger. 6'2". He's 3 inches shorter. 75-inch reach. He's got a 4-inch reach disadvantage, and I have him at a CM system. Look, you look at the first fight. What happened? Ante Delija hurt Scheffel on the feet twice. In round 1, he hurt him, and he hurt him in round 2 and then finished him. So he had the edge on the feet. That was pretty clear. He also had the edge on the grappling. Clearly was able to take Scheffel down. Scheffel's never shown that good of takedown defense. And even in his most recent fight, the semifinals fight against Juan Adams, what happened? He got taken down. So I think it's Ante Delija all day here, right? Why is the line closer than it was the first time where Matheus Scheffel was a plus 400 underdog? I think people are sitting here doing MMA math. I think that's what it is. People look at it. All right. Scheffel started off the season. He beat Bruno Capoloza. Wait a minute. Bruno beat Ante Delija twice. MMA math. Okay. Then you look at it. Ante Delija, he went to the decision with freaking Shelton Graves, of all people. Not a great look. Then he started cleaning up. Got to finish in his next fight, right? I don't think it's like Scheffel beat Capoloza and Juan Adams to get here. Juan Adams is Juan Adams. And in terms of Capoloza, I mean, I thought he's been overrated since last season. I mean, yeah, he beat Ante Delija twice, but like, I just think he was overrated. Was I shocked that he lost to Matheus Scheffel? I really wasn't. So because I don't think that Scheffel's improved anywhere where he needs to beat Ante Delija here, I think it's Ante all day. I think he's going to be able to take him down. I think he's going to be able to win on the feet. Ante is just very inconsistent, so I don't have any desire to have a lot of money on him. I parlayed him with someone I'm going to talk about soon, coming up on the card. I believe it's actually the next fight. But yeah, man, I think I just don't see how Scheffel pulls it off. Like, what did he show in their first fight that suggested to you that he could win the fight? What showed you in his last 2 fights that suggested to you that he could win the fight? I don't know. I really don't. So I'm going to be playing Delija. I already parlayed him up. I've got him. Let me pull it up. I've got him and someone I'll talk about soon, like I said, at plus 124 for 1 unit. And that's all I got to say about that fight. Like, really, what else are you supposed to say when you've got a guy who dominated the first bout and there hasn't been much change since that first bout? That was literally in 2022, guys. It was this season, so. But all right. We're up to the co-main event of the evening, and man, I really wanted to play the underdog here. So here we've got Brendan Loughnane versus Bubba Jenkins. Brendan is 25, 4-0, 32 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach, and I've got the guy training out of Tiger Muay Thai. You know, the commentary doesn't shut up about it, and you know, I'm glad they don't because it helps me get knowledge. He's been training with these Dagestanis ever since he lost to blanking on his name, the guy who won last season and out wrestled Brendan. Now, because of that, Brendan's been improving, you know, in his last few fights. So before the fight against, I want to say it was Marcin Held, but I could be wrong. Hold on, I want to pull it up. I just know that he was an underdog and I played him and I was very proud of myself. Just not remembering who it was. Chris Wade. It was Chris Wade, and it was an impressive performance. Now, Bubba Jenkins, he's also been really impressive. He's been a really good wrestler, but I was saying this, I just threw myself off. But Brendan Loughnane, because he's been training that wrestling, you see it in the 2 fights before his Chris Wade one, where he was fighting guys who, you know, Ryoji Kudo is good, but Brendan should have smoked him, honestly. And Ago Huskic, Brendan should have smoked him. And he didn't. He didn't smoke either guy. He had to throw in grappling to win those fights. And that makes you kind of concerned coming into a fight against a guy like Bubba Jenkins, right? A guy who's an elite wrestler. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's a really, really credentialed wrestler, a high-level wrestler. A guy who beat Lance Palmer in the wrestling scene and then beat him in MMA as well. My issue with Jenkins is his striking. I don't think his striking is that good. He's been improving. Commentary's been talking about that. He's been mixing it in with his grappling pretty well. But I don't think it's been enough. And because Brendan's been training his grappling, because we haven't seen it tested. That's why you got to keep it easy. You got to take it easy on these bets. You can't put too much. We have so many questions. But because he's been training, because he's been a Tiger Muay Thai, because he's been focusing on this, I have to think Brendan's takedown defense will hold up. Do I think he's going to stay up on the feet the whole time? Hell no. Hell no. You'd be crazy to think, in my opinion, that Bubba doesn't get 2 takedowns at least. The question is, can he get up? And I think he can. One thing I did notice, though, if you look at the fight that Bubba lost, I think it was Wade. Yeah, it was Chris Wade. How did Chris Wade defend those takedowns? He threatened front chokes. That's how he did it. You watch it. That's how he did it every single time Bubba shot. He threatened a front choke and got out of it. Brendan doesn't do that. He's got 1 submission win ever, and that's it. He's got 1 sub win in, what is it, over 30 fights? 29 fights. This is his 30th fight. Like, he's submitted 1 person. He's not gonna threaten front chokes. He's gonna try to sprawl. He's gonna use underhooks. That's what he's gonna do. The classic takedown defense. And that stuff doesn't really work against Bubba. So the real question in my head is not can he defend the takedowns, is can he get up? And I think he can. I do. And in the striking, look, Bubba can land big overhand rights. He kind of has decent combos when he's trying to close that distance, but like, he's swinging his strikes. Brendan's going to throw straight and he's going to hit first. So I got to think it's Brendan here. I was going to play Bubba, to be honest. That was my early lean. I'm glad I didn't, because I changed sides once I broke down the fight for myself. Now, I parlayed Brendan at like minus 173 with Ante Delija. I was just talking about it. Ante was minus 240. Parlay came out to plus 124. I played it for a unit. Look, I like it. I like both guys to win their fights. I think they should. But it's just for a unit because I don't want to risk more. I didn't want to play the money line for 2 units. I know normally if you're going to parlay someone, you should be willing to play their money line, but I just don't want to stake that much on PFL. If there's anything I've learned from betting this promotion is you got to be careful. You got to unit size correctly here, and you got to be very, very cautious. So I think Brendan Loughnane is able to edge this out. I think that when he does get taken down, he's going to get back up. And I just think over 5 rounds, he's got to beat Bubba here. So I'm going to be going with Brendan Loughnane. And yeah, we're up to our main event of the evening here. So here we've got Kayla Harrison versus Larissa Pacheco 3. Harrison's 15-0, undefeated as a pro. She's 32 years old, 5'8" with a 66-inch reach, training out of American Top Team. On the other side, you got Pacheco. She's 18-4-0. Now, 2 of those losses are to Kayla Harrison. I believe she was on the Ultimate Fighter as well, if I remember correctly. She's only 28, which is pretty crazy. I really thought she was older there. So she's 4 years younger, 5'6". She's got a 2-inch height disadvantage, but she does have a 3-inch reach advantage here. So I do think that's relevant. Now, I watched back their fights. I watched back their second one another time right before I hopped on stream. That's why I was a few minutes late, because I just wanted to refresh. Because I really, really, really want to bet Larissa Pacheco. I really do. You know, like, you watch her fights and like, she's good. She dominates everybody whose name isn't Kayla Harrison. And you got to imagine, you know, she's fought her twice. And she saw what happens. How did I lose this fight? Because I got taken down every goddamn round. Every single one I got taken down, right? So you got to think Pacheco is spending her entire camp with overhooks, underhooks, fucking sprawling. You got to think. But at the same time, is it going to be enough? We're talking about a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo and Kayla Harrison. Like, she's been underwhelming, I'll say this. For somebody who's been calling out Cyborg, saying she could beat Nunes, all these things. I mean, she's been very unimpressive recently. She's just, like, I think it was 2-3 fights ago, she didn't even get a finish against a woman who's not very good at all, that she dominated. Unfortunately, I still don't, like, this is similar to Ante Delija fight, right? Have I seen enough from Pacheco where I think she can defend the takedowns? No, I don't, unfortunately. Will I get to a bet? Probably not. Man, we'll see. We'll see. If people parlay Harrison, they start going in, they start parlaying her. We get Pacheco plus 500. I'll throw 0.02 units to win one. All right, I'll play it cheap. But nah, I think Kayla Harrison is going to dominate once again. Unfortunately, I really want Pacheco to win, but I don't think she will. So Harrison's the pick. Maybe I'll get to Pacheco if we hit plus 500, but otherwise, nope. And that's it, guys. That's a PFL card. We're done. Thank you guys all for tuning in. No UFC this week, unfortunately. I do think I might be hopping on another pod tomorrow. I'll wait for them to announce it, though, before I say anything. And in terms of other promotions, I've already made a list of what's coming up next week in terms of promotions of regional scenes. And like always, I'm going to try to put out bets for you guys, a video maybe, so we can beat those lines. I know some people get upset when I do that because they think we're moving lines or something. I'm very flattered by that. I just don't think that's the case, so that's why I don't really care. But look, until everyone is telling me, Mike, stop, I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to try to put out early stuff for you guys. We got a bunch, like I said, a bunch of regionals coming up, not this week, next week, and I'm going to try to have best for everybody. We've been doing pretty well in the regionals. It's been carrying our season pretty well, so we'll see what we can do. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. I appreciate all of you guys big time. You have no idea. And have a good one. Let's cash some tickets and peace out.